Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by my playing partner, Mr. Andrew Hansen, for arguably the most exciting golf week of the year. It is the Masters.
Oh boy, this is terrific. I'm glad you're here with me, ready to break this down as a twosome. Probably they'd pair us up with two more if we were down at Augusta National, but
Hey, that's right. DJ and Rom, that would a foursome. I'd
I,
be ready to go.
I'd take that. Yeah, they'd probably have to split us up. We wouldn't want to, beat them 5-4.
No,
We'd
think
have
we'd be on the clock pretty quick.
You might want to pick up, sir, after your 10th
Yes,
shot, because
exactly.
the conditions sound a lot different than the fall. I mean, we're talking firm
You
and
better
fast.
believe.
We're not
Yep.
looking at 20 under this week, Coach. It's going to be a real battle, and you got to bring your complete game to conquer this event.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I watched the Golf Channel last night for several hours because I was not feeling great. Had the second vaccine, as you know, and it kicked my butt for a day or two here. So I'm back feeling great now. But man, the nice part is I was sort of forced to watch like 5 hours of the Golf Channel last night because I didn't want to move. But I'll tell you, it was great. You know, Brandon Chambly that's on there.
Yeah, Brandel. Yeah,
Yeah, Brandel. Yeah, he had some great points, talked through
he
a
always
bunch of stuff.
does.
Yes, he's a smart man, that
Love
guy.
his
But
analysis.
yes, and he was talking about how, really when you're looking at this tournament in particular, to not look at the one that was played in the fall to sort of determine, how the course should play, but look back a couple of years when it was faster and firmer because it was very soft and inviting this fall. And they, I think, took a little exception to that, and they've made it very fast. You're going to have balls rolling off the green, rolling in the water, and I love it. I think that everybody knows it's game on time, and you can't make mistakes. And man, it's going to be a fun tournament.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm glad you watched the coverage there because what I have not done is I have not taken that enjoyable experience and watched any of the coverage yet. I think I might just wait until tomorrow morning when they tee off and when the coverage starts to actually watch the live coverage at the Masters. I've been focused more on the radio coverage, listening to
Yeah.
some of the player interviews, and
Yep.
doing some research there, picking up some anecdotes, and we'll go over that some of that today. Some of the top storylines with some of these big players.
Well, I'll tell you, there's lots of narratives and things to look at. And I mean, to fill like 4 or 5 hours of coverage on the Golf Channel, you're digging for just about everything. So it was pretty interesting, all the different stuff that's going on. But you're right. I'll tell you what, you talk about eye test and listen to people in their interviews. You could see who was zoned in and who wasn't. And like, if you have a chance to see the Rory McIlroy interview, uh, he's sort of not doesn't have it between the ears right now. He sounded very shaky and like no confidence type of situation. So that was one of them I picked up on. But I mean, you can see right through what a lot of them are talking about. And if you go in there with any weakness, that course will eat you alive. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and that might be a good place to start with Kepka,
Hmm.
who
Yeah.
is talk about interviews and weaknesses. He admitted that
Yeah.
his knee is a real issue, and I guess watching him, all the analysts have said that he looks, really he's moving very gingerly, having
Yeah.
trouble even bending over, having trouble walking downhill, and this is a
Yep.
very undulating course. But he also said that he wasn't there unless he thought he could finish better than second. So he thinks he can win. He says he's hitting it really well,
Yeah.
but it's going to be such a physical challenge for him because he's not at 100%. He's admitted it, and that's the type of guy who's, you talk about a GPP play. I mean, a guy
Yeah.
who could easily win. He's won multiple majors, but he could miss the cut if the knee flares up.
Yeah, I mean he can't even bend down to read his putts. Did you know that?
I heard that.
He's in a yeah, they showed him, they went through everything, and he can only take that knee to 90 degrees. So he said he's got to step way back and really count on his caddy because he can't get down there to read the putts. It's that bad. And he also was talking about how there's a lot of pain with the screw and the plate and all these things they put in his knee. I didn't realize it was such a rough surgery, and I can't believe he's back this quick, to be honest with you. But he did not sound healthy whatsoever. And one of the, of course, interesting facts for Mr. Chambly there, they were saying from the first tee to the 10th tee, there's a drop off of height that's the same as size as the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the Statue of Liberty. It's that much of a drop off.
Wow.
So you're walking downhill a lot, which is really tough on the knee ligaments, as you're pounded into the ground, and then uphill the rest of the time. So yeah, it's people don't realize the Masters is that undulating, but it is. There's a lot of it's a little bit of a hilly area, so it's going to be a test for him. After watching that, I have zero confidence that I just admire that he's getting out there and trying.
Right. Well, how about somebody who's coming from the other direction in terms of recent performance from your neck of the woods?
Yeah.
Fellow Texan Jordan Spieth got that
Yep.
first win in such a long time last
Sure
week,
did.
and man, is that a monkey off his back to get in the winner's circle and not have to answer those questions this week?
It is, and it's been coming. We've noticed the last 6 weeks or so he's been in contention, getting his game back, and really happy for him because I know he was struggling. Can he come right back with the momentum? I mean, he's a defending champ. They showed him at the dinner last night that DJ hosted as the defending champ, and yeah, I mean, he looks confident. He sounds confident. So I wouldn't put him past him, to be in contention. That's for sure. Once you've won there, you've got that mental edge.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of recent champions, 2 years ago it was Tiger, of course, in that magical win, but he's
Yeah.
not there, and that could be an emotional impact on guys one way or the other. And Justin Thomas seems to be as close to Tiger as anyone, talking about visiting him recently several times.
Yeah.
Will he channel that and try to win one for the Gipper, so to speak?
He very well may. I mean, he's got the game for that course, and he's never won there. So certainly, I would say that that's probably at the top of his bucket list is to go after this one. Um, I would not put it past him. I think he's one of the three or four guys that you have to beat here. I really do, even though he doesn't have a Masters under his belt.
Yeah, he's one of the pay up options that I'm really looking at. The last full field stroke event that he played, he won the Players,
Yeah.
and so he's in a great mindset. And like you said, he hasn't won yet here, but he's been trending up, getting closer and closer, finishing in the top five last time around. So he's sort of peaking in terms of his recent Masters history to get it done.
Yeah, he really is. And I'll tell you, the statistics back up the fact that very seldom does a unknown out of nowhere sort of win this tournament. There's a long history of veteran guys that are just always in the hunt here, which brings guys like Lee Westwood and some of the guys that have played this course. He played it 19 times for the tournament. So that's this is his 20th event at 47. So he's, guys like that, it just really elevate here. I mean, you had Danny Willett win it about 4 years ago, and he was pretty long odds, but 9 of the last 10 have been right in that top 10 or 12 in the odds. So it doesn't happen very often that you get a real bomb. So with that in mind, let me give you the top 10 that are all 25 to 1 and under. Everybody, and then it jumps to 35 after that. Because I really think, Andrew, that your winner is going to come out of this group of 10.
Okay.
Dustin Johnson is 9 to 1. Bryson is 11. Spieth is now 10 to 1. He's dropped. Everybody's jumping on him because of that win. Rahm 12, McIlroy 11 somehow. And Justin Thomas 11. I'm sorry, Thomas is 11, McIlroy's 18. I read the wrong one. Cantlay's 20, Schauffele 22, and Koepka 25, your man, and Morikawa 30, he's not in good form right now either. So, and that's just the top 10. You've got all those studs in that next group. How about Finau and Reed and Berger and Im and Simpson? I mean, we got the big sticks going here, man. I'm telling you.
And this is just the perfect example of today's golf in 2021. Going through those 15 or 20 names, I don't think anyone listening would be surprised if any of those guys won it. And like you
No.
said, chances are probably one of them will.
Yeah.
And it just is such a hard challenge in DFS this week because there's so many guys in there that would not surprise you if they win. So how do you narrow it down? It's
Yeah.
it's it's really tough.
It is. I mean, it's a two flight thing as I was building these lineups. First of all, you have to decide who your pay up or, two pay up guys are, is pretty much the way I built mine. And that's that's no cup of tea, man. I mean, you got to choose between the big dogs. Bryson could overpower the course, like we said. Rom's narrative with just having a baby is he was worried because she was due during the Masters, and luckily she went into labor last week. The baby's fine, and so he's geared in. And that baby narrative, man, that's nothing to play around with.
No, it's real. I mean, you mentioned Willett. He won in the same scenario after having become
Yes.
a father for the first time. Comes
Yep.
over and wins. And Rom, you're right. He's got to be feeling on top of the world with the excitement of being a father and having it happen so that he can still play. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is, I understand he got to the course yesterday, Tuesday. Is he going to be completely worn out? Is he going to get enough practice time?
Right.
I'm
Yep.
I'm I'm leaning towards playing him quite a bit, but that's my one reservation.
I mean, I always think that, we see these baby narratives come up in the other sports. It happens in the NBA all the time. It almost doesn't even make sense because you think, okay, he was up, he was stressed, the baby, they're healthy, the mom, and this and that. And then, the baby's up at night, and, you would think he's all out of sync. And especially, people in the golf world, they're such creatures of habit and discipline. They practice so long and they just stick with it like that. And to throw him way out of his game scares me a little bit. But you see these guys come back, their child was born 24, 48 hours before, all of a sudden they drop 40 in a basketball game. So I don't know what clicks, what adrenaline, whatever, but I think it has to do with like perspective and those kind of things. But will it help Rom here? Possibly. They did say that he was the last guy on the practice range last night. Every single person was gone except for him, and it was late. It was like 10:30 at night or something. He was literally on the practice tee still. So, maybe he's zoned in. I mean, it's certainly something I would support. I wouldn't say not to take him, but I'll tell you, Andrew, my pay up guy, and I hate to do this because he's such a boomer bust guy, but DJ, I mean, I know he's the most expensive, but look at his history here. I mean, it's unbelievable. The last 9 years, his caddy Butch Harmon's his coach, and for the first 8 years of his career, he couldn't win some of these big events where really the most important thing was to be able to fade the ball, cut it back into these greens. So, and that wasn't his game. Butch Harmon talked him into that change. And if you statistically look at his first 9 years to the last eight, and he's been playing golf 17 years already, which is amazing. But you see the gray, he's getting some gray in his beard. Now I feel old because I remember when he just came up like it was yesterday. But once he started fading, then he started winning and started winning majors, winning on courses that you need to bring that ball in that direction with that spin to get it in the correct places on the greens. And since he's done that, he's been, multiple top fives, wins, top tens here at the Masters. And even if he doesn't win it, for me as a cash player, I feel that he has the strongest chance to be a top three guy in this. Am I right or wrong? What do you think?
That's the way you put it. It is hard to argue with that
Yeah.
because the thing for me is I don't know if I would bet him to win. but I don't think I would bet against him in any way. I would not bet against him to finish out of the top 10, for example.
Yeah,
He hasn't been playing great the last month or so,
right.
but his game is perfect for here, and he's got the talk about a monkey off your back. He just won it, so he's
That's right.
playing with house money here. There's no pressure.
No,
Just go out there, do your game, do your thing, and see if you can repeat it and make history.
and
If,
that's my exact theory. What you just said is because the last two I was down. Well, I was down to three guys, and they're big deal. They're the top three price guys. But it was, do I go Johnson with now that he? I mean, just think about him with that stress gone and playing like you said with house money. I mean, that's scary because he's so long and his wedge play is so good now. But you have Bryson with that power. So that's somebody you have to, it's a little bit more of a roll of the dice, but he could easily win. And then Justin Thomas, but that's the problem that I had with my final decision was, is Thomas going to press? Because he wants this so bad. And, he's not been there at the Masters to win it. So that's why I'm leaning a little towards DJ. Who's your big pay up dude?
Rom, Rom and JT are on my radar for sure.
Yeah,
But Bryson, I got to think more about him here. And the nice thing is we don't have to finalize the lineups until tomorrow morning. But
right.
listening to what Bryson was doing in practice rounds and thinking back to what he did going into the Masters in the fall, and that was really the storyline because
Right.
it was with his new power and length, was he just going to demolish Augusta National? And it didn't work out for him. He made the cut but finished near the bottom. And you remember he had that strange dizzy spell, and so
Yeah.
he just wasn't right physically, and it was kind of a failure for the guy who you're talking about par 67, and was he going to just dominate? But I think it's going to be a better scenario for him here because he's already gone through that, and he's had great recent form. And again, listening to what he's been doing this week, like on the 13th hole, just mashing drives up the right side, over the trees, way down, as the slope kind of goes
Ridiculous.
right to left. So he's got a
Yeah.
short iron in on that par five. I mean, it should be an absolute minimum birdie for him every day, if not an eagle. And he's talking about driving the par four third hole. He thinks
Yeah.
he can drive that green. I mean, I think people might just overlook that a little bit because he had such high expectations and it went so poorly in the fall. And I
Right.
think that may be a mistake because he's also got a ton of confidence with his putting now.
Yeah.
And, if he just kind of plays his normal game and doesn't do anything crazy or get out of whack emotionally, I think he's a lock for the top five as well in my book.
Well, I'll tell you what, he could win this thing by a couple of shots, easy. I mean, you look at some of the stuff that's going on. Here's the only concern I have and why he didn't make my very top spot. He's playing for the first time in competition with a new driver this week. They designed a prototype, I mean, for him because he has the fastest swing speed and ball speed of any player in the history of golf. So 211 miles an hour his ball speed is. Can you imagine that? It's insane.
Right. I mean,
So,
other than the long drive competitors, in terms of professional
well,
PGA
I'm talking
players,
PGA
yeah,
Tour,
exactly.
right? The PGA Tour guys,
Yep.
he
He's number
set the
one.
standard of all time.
Yep.
So the new driver scares me a little bit. And then he said in his interview, and he wouldn't say what it was, has to be one of his wedges or something, but he says he has a brand new club in his bag that he's been practicing with the last week that he thinks is going to be the difference maker. I'm guessing it's a wedge. It might not be, but whatever it is, he wouldn't say what it was, but he was excited. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, he sounds confident. He talked about the 5 holes. He was going to try to go over trees and cut corners where nobody's ever gone before. And I mean, the guy's like a walking encyclopedia of golf strategy, but I love the ideas of stuff, but I don't know, Andrew. I mean, even as a chip and charge golfer that I am, if I have a brand new club that I have to use, I'm nervous about it. So I'm not sure that I'm surprised he's making this many club changes right before the Masters.
Well, it ends up being that he's a little bit more of a GPP play than DJ, and that's why it makes sense to me that you would
Right.
lean DJ,
Yeah.
and Bryson. Just it is risky, like you said, to introduce new clubs. I mean, a driver and a wedge are kind of important clubs these days on the PGA Tour
Yeah.
for the
I
longest
mean, he
hitters.
doesn't use anything else.
That's
He
right.
could play three clubs, a
Yep,
driver, a wedge, and a putter, and he's done.
that's right.
Craziness. Yeah, the other guys, let me give it a real quick idea of, basically, here are the guys that you have to, most people will pick two of these guys, but I want to give you an idea of the pricing and then fill in from there. Some guys may want to buy down, but if you try to get three of these guys in, then you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. But the guys that are between 11,000 and 12,500 on FanDuel are Johnson, DeChambeau, Thomas, Rahm, Koepka, McIlroy, Schauffele, Cantlay, and Morikawa. Spieth is just one spot below. And as pricing, the top pricing guys on DraftKings are Johnson, Rahm, DeChambeau, Thomas, McIlroy, Schauffele, Morikawa. So same group. Those are the real pay up guys. And can you get to two of them? I'm leaning, and I'm really interested. I know you don't like this guy, and I love him, but my second fiddle to DJ, I'm thinking here. I love Patrick Cantlay.
Mm.
He's like the Kawhi Leonard of golf. He never says anything, not real emotional, and he's a machine. I know you think he's off
No,
his
no, I
game.
like him.
No, you like him a little bit?
I mean, that's a great description of him. It really
Yeah,
is. And if you'd asked me 6 weeks ago who my pick would be that isn't maybe a top five, it would have been
yeah.
Cantlay.
Okay,
And for some reason, I feel like I'm just distracted by this missed cut at the Players.
I know.
But if you go back and look, before that, it was four straight top 15 finishes,
Yes,
and he was really in a groove. And when Tiger won 2 years ago, he had the lead there momentarily.
yes,
And
he
so
did.
we're back in those same conditions in April. And he is definitely one of the guys after that top 10 or so, right there with Patrick Reed in the 9K range on DraftKings, where, there's a real good chance he's going to make the cut for me.
And I think he's a guy that's flying under the radar. Nobody's talking about him at all
Yep.
because even when he had those four top 15s in a row, it was like, well, Cantlay's getting into form. I mean, you finish four times in the top 15 in a row, you're in form. I don't care what anybody says. These golfers are amazing. And to be that high of a finish, I just think he could sneak up. And he certainly doesn't seem like a guy that is going to get distracted emotionally or anything like that. He just gets about his business and gets it done. So he's sort of my second banana. You got a guy slotted in there for you?
Yeah, Patrick Reed is the other guy, and so
Yeah,
looking at the DraftKings pricing, it's trying to figure out if you go with one of the top studs, can you get two guys like Cantlay and Reed, or is it just one of them and then head down from there?
right.
Those are the two guys who are popping up the most, and the crazy thing is Spieth is right in there too. So
Yeah.
I mean, what a stretch there. But the other thing here is don't forget about these veterans
That's
who
exactly right. The
you know,
Lee Westwoods of the world. Yeah.
Lee Westwoods. How about Bubba
Sergio.
Watson?
Yeah.
He's won here multiple times. Louis
Yeah.
Oosthuizen always steps up at the Masters, and those guys are much more of a bargain here.
They are. Paul
And
Casey, all those guys, they've played this 15, 20 times. They know every nook and cranny of that course.
it makes such a difference here. So,
Big time.
to our listeners who are either new to DFS or don't follow the Masters quite as closely, don't be afraid of the veterans here. In fact, I
Right.
think they get the tiebreaker for me. I mean, look at Bernhard Langer, who is just, you talk about a machine. That guy is an ageless wonder.
It's
It doesn't
ridiculous.
matter how old he is, he keeps making the cut. And remember, he beat Bryson last year by a stroke, and
Unbelievable.
he's almost minimum price. So
Yeah.
this is so much fun to get a tournament that we've all seen so many times and these guys have so much experience that they just always find a way to get it done.
I know. And, I always fade the older guys. I know we always,
Mhm.
every week for our listeners, you're always getting a Stricker in there or one of
Right.
these guys that have been around forever. And I always fade them because I'll take these young dudes. But this is the one tournament each year. I don't know if it's the lore of the Masters or the just the delicacy of having to know the course, but it seems like the older guys step up when it comes to the Masters, and the younger guys get just sort of intimidated, I think is what it is. But yeah, I mean, there's guys. Let's give a few because this is where you shine, and it's helped me make a bunch of money in PGA DFSs with your value plays. One guy I thought was a real sneaky value play is a champion here, Danny Willits, $8,300, not playing bad golf, and he's won here. I think he's a nice little value. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, the guy who comes here with the confidence of being a winner, it takes the pressure off of him. He's had a couple decent finishes lately,
Yeah,
and a good price. So, he's a guy you can feel decent about. Where you're looking at another guy to make the cut. Obviously, that's what it always comes down to in PGA
it really
DFS.
does.
So you,
Yeah.
you feel confident about there. There's a couple guys in that price range who are interesting.
Okay. Give me that. Give me the goods because I'm
Well,
ready.
yeah, I haven't finalized it yet. We will finalize the clipboard for the members tonight. We invite you
Okay.
in to join us there, dfscoachtalk.com. Grab a membership, and you'll also get our lineups in basketball and baseball. But Bern Wiesberger is somebody I want to mention. Talking about making the cut, he's
Yeah.
five for five in making the cut at the Masters, and he's
Yeah.
only 6,400 on DraftKings. Hasn't played great the last couple events here, but there's a possibility. Here's an under the radar guy, Robert McIntyre.
Yeah. Yeah. I have him on my list as well. Yeah.
Yeah, great price here in the 6K range. He's a lefty, and
Yeah.
that can be an advantage at the Masters. Think about
Definitely.
Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, Mike Weir,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
lefties who've won here. So there's a guy in that range, and then two others who I want to mention who finished in the top 10 this fall: Fratelli and CT Pan, and they're both
Yeah.
in the 6K range on DraftKings. The one caveat there is, like you said, much different conditions in the fall, so it
Right.
should be a tougher test. But CT Pan just finished tied for third at the Honda, so you like his recent form compared to Fratelli, who's missed four of his last five cuts.
Mm.
So that's going to be a key decision for me: is which guy in that range do we finalize as the value option?
No question. And I'll tell you, this is a great time to be a part of DFS Coach Talk. To jump on board with us, you can be in our Discord here in a matter of minutes. Once you sign up, go to dfscoachtalk.com. We have multiple packages you could choose. We have all of our packages include everything that we do, all of our content, all of our lineups, all four of the major sports that we cover, which is basketball, football, baseball, and golf. And, we'd love to have you join us. This is the Masters Week. We also have a phenomenal contest. I'm so excited about that. Do you want to tell them, since I know you and are working with one of our members on that contest for members only?
Yeah, thanks to Beat DM Joe, we've got some
Yeah.
local Masters gear. We've got
He's
some,
from Augusta, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
golf balls, hat, the dog bowl that Coach is hoping for.
I'm going for the dog bowl. Chance, my dog is fired up. He wants that dog bowl.
Yeah, so that's one of our members only contests. We do that a lot. We did one with the NCAA tournament. So that's one thing we do in our Discord. So it's a unique format, which you can find out about if you join us, where we'll be tracking standings and giving out the gear to the top finishers.
Absolutely. And if you want to go a different route, you want to bet this Masters as well, you can sign up for at betus.com.pa. They were the ones that supplied all those statistics that I read off there and odds. They're terrific. If you haven't signed up with them yet, you can go to their website, use the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space. Put $149 in your BetUS account, and you get a free membership with us all the way through June 1st. and you get to use the 149, to play whoever you like. Maybe $149 to win at Dustin Johnson at 11-1. Maybe he'll
Sure.
go up to. So anyway, we'd love to have you in there. If you're watching this right now, we sometimes forget to ask, but it is our one ask every podcast. We do 7-day-a-week NBA pods in front of the paywall. We do this weekly PGA pod as well. Just take a second, hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button, and hit the little alert so you know when our podcast posts. That is very important to us as we're trying to move up the ranks on YouTube and get ourselves in a position where more people can see our content. So we really, really appreciate that. Other than that, we have a few picks that we've got, in our back pocket here for our members tonight. Andrew does a super job putting together a DraftKings clipboard, which we supply for all sports, which gives you a core group of players that we highlight, and then several other choices to finish out your build. We give full lineups in both Fanduel and Yahoo, and we're excited to share those tonight with a big basketball slate in the NBA as well. So I love this. This is my favorite time of the year. The March Madness stuff going into April with the Masters, NBA hitting the second half stride, and baseball getting started. I'm not a huge football guy, so this is by far my favorite time of the sports year.
Yeah, hey, and it's our birthday month for both of us too. It's
That's
phenomenal.
right.
It's can't beat it, especially in the Northeast because now it's springtime. We get to go out and enjoy it. But it's not really great golf weather up here yet. So one more
Okay.
weekend of watching it, and then we'll be inspired to go play after that.
It's 77 here. So Dallas is the place to go. That's why so many of these PGA guys live here, because
Yes.
they can play all year round. And it's great condition. It's windy as heck, though. I mean, that's the tough part with playing here in Texas is the wind. I mean, it does bite you. That's the tough part. But gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. All right. Anything else you want to throw into the mix?
No, I want to go finalize these lineups.
Beautiful. All right. Well, fantastic, everyone. We really appreciate you, listening in. We wanted to do more of a show today with the Masters where we just bantered about some of the players, sort of the psychology, what's going on, rather than just dive into stats. Because the Masters of all tournaments seems like a tournament that has a different type feel to it. And I think a lot of it has to do, with the mental state of some of these guys, approaching the course. So hopefully you got a lot out of it. It gives you a nice core to build off of. And we'd love to have you join us to catch the rest of the lineup. So really appreciate everything. Thank you, Andrew, and the Coach Talk team. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and we will catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.